Hello everybody, today I am here with a beautiful poem, The Owl Critic by James Thomas Fields. A lesson to fault finders. Let's know about the poet. James Thomas Fields was an American poet, editor and a publisher. He is best known for his poems The Owl Critic and The Ballad of the Tempest. He shared a close relationship with writers such as Nathaniel Hawthorne, Herman Melville, William Wordsworth, Charles Dickens, William Makepeace Thackeray and others, details of which he has recorded in his book Yesterdays with Authors. Let's know about the genre of the poem. This is a humorous and satirical poem about an owl critic entering a barber's shop. The way an owl has been stuffed and goes unheeded. In The Owl Critic, the poet James Thomas Fields makes fun of know-it-all critic, literary and art, who gets a taste of his own medicine when his own stupid presumptions and ignorance are exposed. Theme of the poem: the owl critic uses humor and a satire to prove its point. In this case, a young man levels blistering criticism of a stuffed owl he sees. The humor is shown when the owl proves to actually be a living owl rather than the poor stuffed replica it was thought to be. The theme is how through sarcasm we make the beautiful ugly. Explanation of the poem. The setting of the poem is a place of barber's shop. Mr. Brown is a barber. There, an ornithologist comes and asks who have stuffed the bird, but none replies him. He asks to Mr. Brown. He has pride and thinks that he is the best in ornithology. He thought that the bird is not stuffed well, but other people don't think that he is that much expert, so they neglect him. He asks Mr. Brown to take that bird down, but he neglects him. He finds so many mistakes in that bird, and he says that he can create much better owl in dark too. In the last stanza, the owl moves, and it was a real owl. And that owl seems like to say that don't use your knowledge on living birds. Explanation. Upon entering the barber's shop and spotting a stuffed white owl, the youth asked all present to name the person who had stuffed the owl. No one bothered to answer his question, as the barber was busy shaving and the customers were reading newspapers as they awaited their turn. The youth found innumerable faults with the owl. He thought its wings were absurd, head was flattened, and neck was jammed down. He said the bird had tight legs, curled claws, slanted legs and beak, and neck twisted in a certain position. According to the critic, no bird could have a toe turned out in the position that the owl has. He said the glassy shade of the bird's eyes was so inaccurate that noted taxidermists would protest. He also pointed out that nothing about the stuffed bird looked natural, not even the feathers. The youth got a nasty surprise when the stuffed owl he had been finding faults with turned out to be a real bird. For centuries, owls have paradoxically been seen as symbols of both wisdom and foolishness. Again, it has often wrongly been believed the owls are practically blind during the daytime. By saying, "I am an owl, you are another," the owl in the barber shop seems to allude to its symbolic wisdom and the critic's foolishness and blindness in failing to differentiate between a stuffed owl and a real one. It ends on a humorous note with the owl criticizing the critic for blindly relying on his bookish knowledge to find fault with everything without verifying the facts. The ending seems to reflect the poet's own views on critics. Let's appreciate the poetry. This poetry is a satire that constant fault finding doesn't serve any purpose. Satire as a literary device is razor sharp. Satire is a use of humor to criticize someone or something. It intends to improve humanity by criticizing the follies of an individual or society. A satire uses the tools of exaggeration and humor to poke fun at certain elements of society. The owl critic is indeed a satire, as the poet James Thomas Fails humorously points out how vanity and ignorance can blind judgment and common sense. The critic feels his only job is to criticize. Thus, from the moment he enters the barber's shop and spots the owl, the young man starts finding faults with the stuffed bird, only to realize in the end that it was a real one. Thank you everyone for being with